Mamdani Mubarak. So, earlier in June 2025, I used Colonizer Free Astrology to explain that Zoran would be winning this election. And I emphasized that, look, I appreciate in Fascism 2.0, you may feel skeptical, you may feel scared, you might feel hopeless. But as I've always told you, astrologically, we're in the downfall of colonialism, right? Now, it plays out over a few decades, but within our lifetime, you're going to see the downfall of the American Empire. And once that riggedy old bitch gets to moving, then guess what? All the shitty allies it upholds and all the other oppression it basically enables and staying across the world, that also kicks rocks. But today I want to create a new series because whilst Mamdani is going to be spectacular during his terms, he is going to oversee very difficult times, and likewise, probably unsurprising to nobody, he himself is a bit in danger, right? So go and grab a cup of jar, get comfortable. Welcome to my Mamdani series. Let's go Hibiscus. Now, Mamdani will live a long life, but there are definitely specific moments in time where his life is truly at threat. Now, one of those times in the immediate future that really stands out is from around February 2027 until, I'm going to say, late May 2027. There's a heightened possibility at this time that there might be an assassination attempt on his life. However, there is like a Bollywood twist on it when I was analysing his chart. Let me explain. So let me begin by explaining why it's going to be a failed assassination attempt. Now, this does not mean we should protect him any less, but I want to emphasize, like, he's going to be okay, but these motherfuckers are peculiar. So in 2027, Jupiter, which is a planet that symbolizes protection from accidents, getting rid of evil, like all that kind of safety, is going to be conjunct with Ketu, which is straight up murder, crime, very sticky circumstances, right? Now, in his chart, with his natural placements, this shows a time period where his life is very much at risk. He will be deeply protected, but if you were ever going to expect something to pop off, I'm telling you, from that February 2027 to May 2027 date, in the immediate future, that is a very sticky time. And as you can see above me, Jupiter and Ketu are going to be conjunct with Mars also in his first house. So Mars, again, deals with different layers of violence, but also bodily organs. Keep that in mind because that's going to lead to my second point. But yeah, first house is accidents. Mars shows something where he might need surgery or some sort of patching up, stitch work. He will be safe, but again, those 4 months are very, very sticky for him. Now, keep in mind what I said about bodily organs because there is a huge food element to this. So Jupiter and Ketu, which for us symbolizes a time where he might be taken out, it's going to fail, but it's heightened, is actually looking into the 7th house, which shows enjoyment of food. Hear me out. He naturally has Saturn and Moon there, right? Rahu, which is a planet of crime, poison, is going to be transiting over that. So this was my first observation, right? If there's a higher likelihood that he's going to be protected from kind of whatever this assassination attempt is, it can't necessarily be outright pew pew. And then when I started to put it together, Moon symbolizes food, Saturn control about some antagonization from food. I think someone's going to try and poison him via food. Because in his chart, which will lead to the next point, it's an unlikely figure that tries to take his life. It's not someone that you may necessarily see and suspect of taking his life. Now, getting on to it being an unlikely figure, I'm working on a YouTube series to go through his whole life because, as you can see, he's going to do spectacular things, and I think it would just be a nice piece of history to do from an astrological point of view. But it shows there might be an elderly woman or some sort of unconventional woman who is associated to the assassination attempt or the harm to his life that we see happening during that period. Because again, Saturn and Moon, when you see that conjunct, is talking about a wise woman, or again, someone who most likely is kind of quote unquote an elderly woman, but she's antagonizing him and maybe quite literally putting something in the food. And then on top of that, I was thinking Saturn's currently going through the 9 types of Pisces, which between now until 2028 is meant to bring a huge focus on elderly people in different kinds of way. And I was like, do you reckon that would be the Bollywood plot twist? That it would be kind of this like when I say old is obviously subjective, but I'm going to say like someone who is experienced, and I think most likely above the age of 58, you know, if not maybe a sweet 55, tries to tamper or give him something that deeply impacts him and tries to take him out in a discreet way, but the plan is unfoiled or she's caught very, very quickly. But I really want to emphasize, I think whoever tries to take his life truly will be like an elderly woman or just someone we see as vulnerable or not suspecting them of being able to commit such violence, right? Because again, I predicted like Charlie Kirk's death, right? And I said that like way back end of 2024 that shit was going to happen, and respectfully look where we are now, right? And then even the timing of it's really weird because Saturn's currently going through the 9 types of Pisces. So from a Vedic point of view, all that means is issues pertaining to the elderly people are really heightened and kind of brought into the limelight. And then I just keep thinking, wasn't it when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, they tried to blame it on like an elderly man, or the elderly man like volunteered himself as like the murderer, and I don't know if it turned out to be true or not. And the other thing I was thinking is it would have to be someone who almost matches his cutie patootiness, or like a murderer they would try to humanize. Because look at it like this, right? You know the fake outrage that they tried to create with Charlie Kirk, and it didn't hit the I honestly do not think they were anticipating to be met with such memes, humor, comedy, and fuck the fascists. I truly think that whole plan backfired on them, right? But Mamdani is that guy. Like, there's no way you could take a hit to the kid's head and you don't think like that would spark Viva la revolutions. You don't think. Now, I don't think he's about to go out like that is one thing I'm about to emphasize. But if you, because he's not just domestically loved, right? You've got to think about the different flavors of influence, love, and admiration and hope he gives to different groups, communities, all of that, right? Across the world. There's no way you take this kid out and you don't think you're creating some fucking like we will rock you movement. Like, you'd have to be stupid. So that's also why I think just logically, if they're going to send someone to take him out, they're going to need someone who you can make excuses or humanize them, even though it'd be really intentional. And don't forget, I mean, what it was in the Saturn versus Pisces transit. Basically, we're sitting under the same transits that took out Dr. Martin Luther King, really beloved figures across different liberation movements. I don't think he's going out like that. I think he will be saved. But keep an eye, you know. The last point I wanted to make was the involvement of his mother. So, unfortunately, that Jupiter Ketu and Mars conjunction in his first house is also aspecting his 7th house, right? Where Saturn and Moon sit for him. Again, Moon represents a motherly figure in someone's life, and Saturn, again, might be talking about experiences that happen when his mother is a little bit more elderly. So I have a few quick observations. So again, we only speak protection, love, care, justice around this family, but I guess it wouldn't be too wild to assume that she might be present when this attempt takes place. I think in worst case scenarios, you may be looking at Bajari also being kind of grazed or physically harmed during this kind of escapade and fucking debauchery. The other thing I really want to talk about, actually, before I forget, Rahu and Ketu, that's a karmic axis. They're going to be going through the 9 types of Capricorn, 9 types of Cancer. Now, this talks about a really vicious time politically, even more than it is currently now, because you're looking at kind of like civil wars across the world, right? You're looking at very contentious times. I think someone from an opposing political party will try and take him out. Don't be so quick to think Margot Republicans, just because this is a time also where all the different versions of Democrats and Republicans across the world, those parties for each country are meant to begin to start dissolving, and we're meant to get new fresh parties, new fresh political figures. So I wonder if it would either be chaos amongst the Democrats and, I don't know, like some sort of Looney Tune that votes Democrat or feels very tied to the old version of Democrats, feels he's a threat to the stability and try and takes them out like that. The other thing that's mad creepy, Rahul's going to be going through Janishta, which is military. I think the person who takes him out might look soft, but could have some sort of like military background or like police or defense. Follow me for part 2.